Hello everybody, my name is Sarah K. Regley, and today we are talking about 7 mistakes that college students and people in their 20s in general tend to make with money. A lot of these mistakes are things that I have done, mistakes I've known other people to do, and I just want to pass along this wisdom so that way you have money in your pocket to build the future that you want for tomorrow. So let's think ahead. Let's be smart, and we're going to dive into these 7 common mistakes and what you should do instead of making these mistakes. Mistake number 1 is aspirational spending. Now, we've all done it. We've all purchased something thinking it will encourage a new habit, a betterment of ourselves. And what ends up happening is that thing that we thought would help us become better just kind of sits around, like buying too many fruits and vegetables at the store, telling yourself you'll eat all of it before it goes bad, and then it goes bad because you didn't eat all of it. I've done that. Or you buy a bunch of workout gear telling yourself it'll encourage you to get fit, and you just wear it when you go to get in and out. Getting a new camera, telling yourself, I'm going to go into photography. We've all had certain things that we will buy to tell ourselves we will get better. So what you should do instead is, if there's a new, let's say you want to get fit, right? You want to develop a different fitness routine, get healthier, use the things that you have now. Rather than buying a really fancy gym membership or new workout clothes or gear, start with the resources that you have now. Go on walks with your friends, watch YouTube fitness videos, use the things that you have now to develop the habit, and when you find you're outgrowing those things, then purchase those things when you're already in the habit and you've incorporated into your life. And if you need some motivation, tell yourself, hey, I will buy those new sneakers for myself once I've been working out for X amount of time. That will help continue to build a habit as opposed to buying it at the beginning and just never wearing them. So mistake number 2, and I'm going to get a whole lot of trouble with this one, is getting a car lease. Now, in case you don't know what a car lease is, it's essentially a contract that you sign with a dealership that lets you borrow a brand new car for a set amount of time for a monthly fee. Now, the reason car leases sound so appealing is because it's like, hey, you get a brand new car. Chances are you can get maybe a car that you've always wanted. Usually the monthly fee that you pay would be less than if you took out a car loan and were paying a regular car payment on that loan. So it sounds really appealing for the short term. However, the reality is when you start crunching the numbers in, and if you're paying just to borrow this thing that's never yours. And so if you do 2 terms of a car lease, it's not uncommon that you could have paid a total of $18,000 and just have borrowed a car for 6 years. With that $18,000, you could have bought a brand new car. So what I recommend you do instead, if you don't have a ton of money to spend on a car, is 1, pay yourself those payments that you would have been making, and then buy a used car. You don't have to buy like a scummy, gross, old, clunky car, but save up and buy yourself a comfortable used car that's yours, that you don't have to worry about making payments on, and that will really relieve your finances to work towards other financial goals instead. Even getting a car loan is better than leasing a car, because at the end of the loan, at least that thing's yours. Mistake number 3 is not paying yourself. As you become more independent and you start paying for more of your own things and get your own work, and you start to realize how expenses add up, it's easy to start always sending your money out to everybody else, and you're living paycheck to paycheck, because as soon as you get that check, it's already spent and you're already given it to everybody else. As a conscientious choice, as a young adult, you're going to have to intentionally pay yourself first. Getting an emergency fund, saving for the future, maybe a down payment on a house, maybe for that car we were just talking about, and also really long term, such as a 401k or a Roth IRA, and get into the habit of putting a certain amount aside so that way you can prepare for the future. A way to help overcome this is if you automate the savings, it just makes it so much easier. So if whoever you're working for has an automatic direct deposit, put some of that direct deposit into your savings account. So you're already paying yourself and you just only see what you have left over. If you find yourself dipping into that savings account by the end of the month because you're low in your checking account, get a savings account in a completely separate bank that you never see. You never even see it. It's much harder to get to. So that way that emergency fund, you will crack into that during emergencies and not the, oh my gosh, I want to go out with my friends and I only have $20 in my account emergency. Mistake number 4 is emotional and social spending. Emotional spending as in when you're home alone and you're tired and you really, those shoes look really cute on Pinterest and I really want to buy them and I'm tired and all of a sudden, oh, let's buy the shoes. And then you have these pair of shoes that you never wear because you were tired and you just told yourself you deserve them. What I recommend to counteract this emotional spending when you're bored or you're anxious or you're sad and you just want to pick yourself up is if you have that item that you're looking at, whether on the internet or at the store, look at it, remember where it is, and then wait a week and see if you still want it. If you don't still want it, you were just really sad and tired and you were in a weak moment where you wanted this thing that you know you're not really going to use. With social spending, if you feel really pressured to spend money in restaurants and bars, to wear certain name brand clothing, respectfully learn how to say no. That's one of the biggest things that you learn is how to say no and just say that you can't afford it. And there's no shame in not being able to afford something because chances are other things are more important to you. If a friendship is genuine, I'm sure that they will understand and you can recommend an alternative, less expensive thing to do with them. And if you find that they distance themselves from you because you don't fit their idea of who you should be in their own lives, then you should really consider, is this a friendship that you want to continue to pursue? For social spending, learn to say no. For emotional spending, say, I can wait a week. And wait a week and see if you still want it. Mistake number 5 is eating out excessively. It can be such a stressful time, especially in college, where you really just feel like you have no time to do anything. The idea of having time to cook and to eat and have proper meals and not just grab food from wherever you can, when you remember, can be a challenge. What I recommend that you do to counteract the desire to eat out all the time is have food prepared at home, whether that be food prepping that you've done beforehand or you have like pre-made salads or easy to make food, microwavable food on hand so that way you know I have food at home, I don't need to grab this, I can eat that when I get back. Another thing to think about is if being in the kitchen kind of frightens you, don't think of it as being a chore that like, oh, I have to meal prep. Think of it more as like an adventure of I have the opportunity to create food that I love. It's much better. Even if it doesn't taste like the restaurant, it's like, hey, it's worth a shot, right? Mistake number 6 is student loans. This is hurting us millennials, man. We were kind of promised that an education would really like enrich our lives and we could have the college experience, and we were promised that, hey, at the other side we could get a job and then create the kind of life that we saw our parents have, and we have found that that has not necessarily been the case. So I highly recommend that you take the most affordable way you can through school. I'm for education, I'm for learning and growing and what you want to learn and grow and do. However, student loans are really going to drag you down. The only exception I would say is if you're in a career path where there's a pretty clear-cut way to get the job that you want and it's a very lucrative career, you make a lot of money doing it, and you know you will be able to pay those loans back within a few years after having that job. Under those circumstances, it's worth a shot. However, if you're studying something that you know is only going to make like $50,000 a year, don't put yourself in deep debt for a job that you won't be able to pay those back with. It's really going to drag you down and keep you from other financial goals you're going to have later down the road. Really think ahead of yourself. Don't think of just, oh, what do I want to do until I'm 22 and 23. Think of how will this affect me when I'm 31, 32, 33. You'll really thank yourself later. I promise you that. The 7th mistake commonly made among young people is they rack up a lot of credit card debt. If you don't know what a credit card is, they'll send you this like envelope in the mail and they say you qualify for $1,500 a month on this credit card. You're like, wow. And they try to loop you in with like making you think that you have this extra amount of money that you can spend. But the reality is if you don't pay that off at the end of every month, you get interest. So then you end up paying more money than you would have been paying if you just paid in cash to begin with. So if you don't trust yourself with a debit card, then don't get it. If you do have a credit card, I recommend you treat it like a debit card and just pay it off like every few days or so. That's what I do. I just pay it off like every 3 days. So I'm not wondering, oh, how much do I have on it? Like, I know, I look at it all the time. And don't use your credit card as an emergency fund. Save up your own emergency fund so that way in case your car breaks down, in case something happens, you have to fly back home because your aunt died or just something really sad happens, you have money for that and you don't need to put it on a card, put interest on it, and be paying more back than you would have if you just paid in cash. Thank you everybody for watching. My name is Sarah K. Regley and I do videos about having the life that you want to have, growing as an adult and making wise choices so that way you can have the kind of future that you want and you can grow into the best version of yourself. Thank you so much for watching, and comment down below and say, have you done any of these things? Have you seen other people do them? What's one thing that you wish you had done differently if as a young person? Write it down below so that way we can get a conversation going. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching and have a great rest of your day. Bye!